James Joyce. James Joyce was born in Dublin in 1882 in a very large family. His strict and moral education at Jesuit schools made him a meticulous person, which means he was very attentive to detail. He studied French, Italian and German languages and literatures. The Italians Dante D'Annunzio, the French writers Flaubert, Baudelaire, Verlaine and the Russian Dostoevsky were some of his favorite writers. His passion for the foreign cultures developed in him a sensation which made him feel more like an European than an Irishman. Indeed, he wasn't into politics as much as his literary contemporaries, who thought they had to rediscover the Irish Celtic identity through the references to the past, to give life to a national conscience. Joyce didn't agree at all, because he strongly believed that the only way to improve Ireland was by offering a realistic portrait from a cosmopolitan point of view. This is the reason why he traveled such a lot, in places like Paris, Switzerland and Italy, where he underwent several eye operations. In Italy, he lived with a woman he met in Dublin, Nora Barnacle, who gave birth to 2 children, Giorgio and Lucia. In Italy, Joyce taught English and became friends with Italo Svevo. His life there wasn't that easy due to financial problems, which neither the publication of Dubliners nor a portrait of the artist as a young man solved. Unexpectedly, in 1917, he received anonymous donations which allowed him to keep working on Ulysses. Joyce mainly published 3 novels, Ulysses, Finnegan's Wake, and A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. Then he published 2 books of poems, The Halley Office and Chamber Music. Also a collection of short stories, there is Dubliners and a naturalistic drama called Exiles. Although he ran away from his country, he set all his works in Ireland and in Dublin, a city he loved and hated. Firstly, because he wanted to describe the reality as accurately as possible, therefore he needed to describe the place he knew most. The second reason is that he wanted to give a realistic portrait of the life of ordinary people doing ordinary things and living ordinary lives. He wanted to represent mental, emotional and biological reality. In his opinion, the artist had to render life objectively in order to give back to the readers a true image of it, without his own point of view. This impersonality is given by naturalistic descriptions and a cinematic technique. The perception of time is objective because, like it was in psychological terms, the distinction between past and present was meaningless. In the language, we find various registers because it suits the age, social class, and the role of each character. The reality is seen through the character's mind, therefore there are several points of view. To be realistic, he used different narrative techniques, such as the free indirect speech, the epiphany, the interior thoughts, the interior monologue, puns, new words invented by him, and no punctuation nor grammatical connections. Let's see what they really are. In the free indirect speech, there is the character that speaks through the voice of the narrator. An example taken by the short story Evelyn is the sentence, "It was hard work, a hard life. But now that she was about to live it, she did not find it a wholly undesirable life." Hard work and hard life looks like Evelyn's words. The epiphany is a special moment in which anything, a person, an event, an object reveals the true meaning of life to those who can get its symbolic value. The epiphany is given by the stream of consciousness because it highlights the connections between the object and the situation. The stream of consciousness is a continuous flow of thoughts and sensations that characterizes the human mind. It allows to enter into the brain and the narrator cannot mediate. Grammar rules are not respected and punctuation is not used. This often makes the text incomprehensible. The verbal expression of this psychic phenomenon, where general rules are respected, is called interior monologue. The narrator almost disappears, and punctuation is used to reproduce the sequential thoughts, memories, feelings of the characters. It lacks chronological order, and there is the presence of subjective time. It is necessary to distinguish three kinds of interior monologue. The indirect interior monologue, where the narrator maintains logical and grammatical organization. The interior monologue, characterized by two levels of narration, one external to the character's mind and the other internal. And the interior monologue, where the character's thoughts flow freely. For example, Molly's monologue. The stream of consciousness is an extreme form of interior monologue. But exactly, why did Joyce use such different techniques? Well, I think because they helped him to explore the mind of one or more characters and give life to their thoughts. Moreover, Joyce gave lots of importance to the sound to compensate with his poor sight. He was almost blind and felt that music and rhythm catch the soul of the reader. Therefore, his aim was to capture on the page what language really sounds like in our mind. Dubliners is a collection of 15 short stories arranged in 4 groups: childhood, adolescence, mature life, and public life. Each story is realistic and full of external details. The Dubliners is a sequence of multiple epiphanies that offer a revelation of the city in its intellectual, moral, and spiritual paralysis. This paralysis and the sense of duty are the main themes of the stories. The Dubliners are spiritually weak, and they really want to escape from the sense of enclosure they live in, but no one of them succeeds in overcoming, perhaps because of a lack of courage. Ulysses is a novel whose plot develops on a single day. There are 3 main characters: Stephen Dedalus, who is depressed because of his mother's recent death; Leopold Bloom, who wanders throughout the city. He goes to a funeral, to work, to a pub, and so on, avoiding going home, where Molly, his wife, is about to begin her affair. Leopold is the anti-hero of the Ulysses of Homer, who, after a 20-year-long journey, returns home and reunites with his faithful wife. In this novel, instead, the protagonist wanders around Dublin for a day and goes back home to his unfaithful wife. Each chapter is written in a different style. One is a play, one is cheesy, one has onomatopoeias, alliterations to imitate music, and the language goes from Dante to the Dublin slang, from medieval philosophy to the symbolism of tattoo. In Evelyn and in the last monologue of Ulysses, there are lots of similarities. Both are set in Dublin and have women as main characters, a faithful and young girl in the first case and a mature and faithful woman in the second one. The other people who surround them are anti-heroes or, by the way, common people. The descriptions are very detailed and enriched of musical elements. Past, present, and future coexist, although in Ulysses the story lasts only 24 hours. In both there are the themes of the journey, of paralysis and inertia, but in the monologue of Molly there is also a hymn to life. Thank you.